The Federal Executive Council, presided over by President Bola Tinubu, approved the group life insurance scheme for federal public servants at its meeting in Abuja. According to the head of civil service of the Federation, Didi Wilson Jack, the scheme covers key government officials, including the President, Vice President, ministers, permanent secretaries, and employees of federal ministries and treasury-funded agencies. It also includes paramilitary agencies such as the Nigerian Immigration Service and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. The scheme provides a life policy for each public servant, ensuring that their next of kin receives a benefit in the event of death. This benefit will help the family during a difficult time. The scheme is annual and the approval is for the 2025 and 2026 policy year, commencing from the date of premium payment. The FEC approved the 17 insurance underwriters for the scheme, which will expire at the end of 2026. In today's program, Nigeria Today, we'll be looking at the life assurance for civil servants. Thanks for joining us. I am Mikaria Clinton. Now, with me in the studio for this conversation is Joseph David. He's a regional manager, Cornerstone Insurance PLC, Abuja. It's a pleasure to have you in Nigeria Today. Also with us in the studio is Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu. He is a lawyer and a former banker. It's always a pleasure to have you on Nigeria Today. Thank you for having me. So I will start with you, Joseph. Talk to us about this life assurance. What is it all about? Because we hear life insurance, we hear life assurance. Any difference? What is it?
Well, thank you. The life assurance, it just depends on which one you choose to call it, insurance or assurance. The major thing is that for this life insurance, it provides a life cover. Then when it becomes a group, then we call it group life insurance cover. So the whole idea is that in the event of death of those people that are covered, that their next of kin, they will benefit something. You know, the whole idea is that you have what we call death in service benefits, so that when those people that are working, they die, then their dependents have something they can gain. You know, rather than just leaving them like that. You know, the government or the employer of those people provides for them. It's normally, the whole thing is determined by the Pension Reform Act of 1914. It actually states the amount that will be paid.
Okay, but before I ask, well, let me go ahead and ask you. You said in the event of death, and monies will be paid to the family of the person. So, if the person didn't die, what happens?
If the person didn't die, he will be available to keep on providing for his family.
Yes.
So the idea is that if he dies, if he's not there, then the family doesn't suffer. Okay,
no, what I'm trying to say is, okay, in this case, it's for maybe a period of time while the person is working,
yes,
and the person is paying, yes, for this, you know, for this policy.
Yes.
Maybe the person finished working and is no longer paying any premium. You know, that's what it's called, premium, right?
Yes.
And eventually, the person is still alive. What happens to the money?
Now, if you look at what you said, he said the government approved it for 1 year. So it tells you that the insurance contract is normally an annual contract. And it covers you for the period premium was paid for. If premium is not paid, we say no premium, no cover. So after retirement, there are two things there. Either you buy a personal life insurance for yourself, or then you will be without cover. Okay,
let me just leave you. So, now, Tanimu, with this development, what is your how do you perceive that development?
It's a welcome development, but in line with what we have been saying, the government needs to look deeper. Contracts are being entered, engagement and involving consultants, involving companies. But if you look at the shared volume, we are talking about 17.3 billion naira. This is a huge amount. And as you rightly pointed out, we are talking about life assurance. Definitely, there will be death. When you are in the service, and the number of people insured, some will naturally pass on. And I like the question you asked. what happens if death did not come? And it happens. So it means no premium, no cover. So the government should look beyond that. This is a huge amount, humongous amount that is being taken out of government resources. They should be able to, if you look at the model of Halal Takafu, which is a pool of funds that is being assembled, and if nothing happens at the end, even at that, most of those companies, they don't comply with it. So the government should get in, apart from the underwriters, they should get in other experts to see the possibility of expanding the scope of this cover, so that number one, the premium now this time around should be automatic, in the sense that rather than having it on a yearly basis, it should be for the length. In fact, it should be till death if possible. These are things that civil servants like you should be able to benefit from government. It should be that from the onset, the government should make it a routine event. It shouldn't be on a yearly basis the way me and you, the way private sector people can seek for maybe group cover that will run for a year. It should be automatic. Premium should not be a thing that should be that the government is renewing, so that the effect of not, we've seen it in the past where government was not able to pay premium as at when do. So we don't want that kind of situation. What we want is they should look at it from a holistic point of view. We are talking about civil servants, we are talking about government operating. It's a large, if you look at in other climes, like in US, in UK, insurance companies are the bigger players. They own most of the banks. In Nigeria, the reverse is the case. It's the banks that own it. And you ask yourself, why is our insurance companies in Nigeria not being able to perform that role? What we see with this involvement of government, having set aside humongous amount, 17 billion, and I assure you at the end of it all, they won't pay cover, they won't make payment in terms of benefit that will equate that amount. So there's kind of some pool of funds that government can drive in. So I'm talking in terms of project financing. There's a way they can, he is well grounded in it, there's a way they can now, in this particular insurance policy, this time around, it should not be like the regular insurance policies. Government should now seek out ways to see how they can now benefit in terms of when you look at the share volume and you look at the cover. This time around, they should make it a continuous thing, that premium should just be part of maybe an article in the agreement of the policy that they will have, that this insurance cover for every civil servant is till death. Then premium now should now be automated, in the sense that if we have paid 17 billion this year, the government should not kind of now seek and approve another 17 billion. Rather, there should just be little modification, so that the whole thing will now be a continuous flow. It will be easier for the insurance company to manage the process. Then for the civil servant and other beneficiary, they now know that they don't need to wait on a yearly approval for the government. And because of that expansion, there will be room for now availability of funds to even finance some of the government projects.
Tanibu, I really wish I understand exactly what you're saying, because I think there are some terms there that I'm kind of lost there. So maybe you explain better what is the point is trying to make, and you know, how government can benefit from all of this.
Well, I won't actually focus on the point he is trying to make, but I will just talk to you as an insurance practitioner.
Okay.
You know, the whole idea of providing this cover, don't forget that the insurance company, they are private sector driven, and so their profit also profit
oriented,
or profit oriented. So the whole idea is that they collect this premium, they invest it, and it's not all the time, I dare say to you, that insurance company makes profit from this premium that are paid. Sometimes the number of deaths are higher. In such cases, the insurance companies, they look for other places to have to cushion these things. And that's why we have reinsurance companies that actually support the insurance companies. So the only thing is that we can plead to the government, let payments plans be made on time, so that there will be no gaps. Because from time to time, we see gap in the insurance cover.
What do you mean by gaps in the insurance cover?
The premiums are not paid as at when due.
Okay.
You see that sometimes because of early release of funds, the payments are not made to the insurance company, and the law guiding the insurance operation says no premium, no cover. Okay. So if government doesn't pay, we don't provide cover. And with the people that dies within that period where there is no cover, they will now depend on government making extra budgetary plans for them to be, for their dependents to receive any fund.
Okay. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is the impression most Nigerians, or will I say most people, probably not just Nigerians, have about insurance. You know, we have this, as a matter of fact, people don't seem to appreciate this thing they call insurance, apart from the normal ones that we do, like the car cover, that is almost mandatory. In fact, that is mandatory, whether the third party or comprehensive. People going to say, okay, I want a life cover, is not so common. So what would you tell us to, you know, kind of encourage people out there about going to cover themselves in terms of, you know, this assurance, life assurance, and the rest of them?
Well, I think the one thing about the average Nigerian is our consumption pattern. We believe more in consuming than saving. But a time is coming now where we have to be deliberate, intentional about insurance. What happens to my family if I'm no longer there? That should be something that should be sounding on an average Nigerian's, at least an average man's head. How do I provide for them? And the easiest way you can provide for them is through insurance. The monies you save while working, if you are not there, insurance can bring it back to them as a lump sum. Or the cover you buy. Take, for instance, for just a little small amount of money, you can buy what we call term assurance. It covers you for a year. And then if within that year the person was to die through an accident or any other means, the family will have that amount. So the whole idea is education. How do we educate our people? How do we encourage them?
Okay, now, Tanimu, you are a Nigerian. You understand what I'm trying to say about the impression people have, you know, the perception people have about, you know, insurance generally. Some just tell you that, leave that thing. At the end of the day, for you to get the money is a difficult thing. How can, you know, we begin to build that trust in insurance? People going to insure, you know, their lives or their families, property, and the rest of them.
Okay, before answering your question, I want to reiterate the point I was emphasizing. Insurance generally, globally, is no premium, no cover, as you rightly pointed out. In the past, we've seen instances where government have delayed in the payment of premium, and in between that gap, there will be debt. What I'm suggesting is that the government should now make it a deliberate policy. In the policy cover is a proposal. In the policy cover, they should make it in such a way that this cover for all civil servants and all people that are beneficiary is for their lifetime all through. The payment of premium is a different thing. It should be separated. That, okay, I've taken a cover for like 50 years or a box, so that the issue of that gap should be taken care of. Right now, I believe with what they have on ground is still the same old pattern, whereby if you do not pay, and most times due to budgetary consideration, there will be delay here and there. I'm saying that if you are making a payment of a premium, proposed premium of 17.3 billion, you should be able to talk to the companies that, okay, we want this cover to be for the entirety of the years of the, it's something they can negotiate. I'm suggesting to the government this time around that let it be that they are all covered. Your premium can come, maybe some little delay, but the assurance that you will make that payment is always there. 17 billion, it can be increasing as the year goes by on a yearly basis. It should not be tied to until payment is paid. The convention is until premium is paid, the cover does not exist. So this time around, let government with all the underwriters and all the stakeholders, they are in for business, and the business too. If I'm making huge commitment in terms of making huge payment of premium, and the crystallization is not always certain, it happens, but the quantum, the volume, and as you rightly pointed, there's reinsurance where they take out of the, in order to mitigate the risk, they take out of the premium and they equally reinsure. So now it's an avenue for government to now make it okay, regardless of the timing we make payment for the premium, the cover should run. But because we are making, like in advanced country, life insurance is another way of saving if you have money, because it's not taxable, if you have money that you want to save, that instead of using the local Asusu, the local Ajo and the rest, you pay it into a life cover. It means that even if you do not die, certain amount will still be kept back to you, because it's now more or less like a pool of fund, is a savings. Instead of going to your regular bank to save money and they give you an interest rate of maybe less than 5%, with this you are able to save, you are able to equally get a life cover in the event of your death. You are not only going to get the normal interest rate, now you are going to get a comprehensive cover. So the government, the stakeholders on the part of the government, they know that they are dealing with private sector that are profit oriented, but should not be able to factor in the interest. I want to assure everybody, insurance is very, very real. It has happened to me severally. My car, anytime I just call and they ask me to take pictures, they get somebody to assess it, and within 2 weeks max, sometimes a week, you see money in the account. So it's functional. But like with all government agencies, we now have regulatory challenges. The regulators, NICOM, they need to do more in terms of ensuring that people that are supposed to be paid are paid on a timely basis. The issue of fraud too. Okay. Some people want to now take advantage of the system. So our security agencies, like the police, they need to be trained on aspects that relates to insurance. Somebody can decide to go and set his house ablaze in order to take the cover. In advanced crime, we've seen people being killed. Family, spouse, so we need to now make it to cut their spouse's insurance cover.
That one will happen in our own case. Now we'll take a short break now. The conversation will continue after the break. Don't go away.
Implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different? We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that are questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we are looking at life assurance for civil servants. And I have two gentlemen here in the studio for the conversation. Now, Joseph, earlier on, Tanimu was talking about saving, even with the life assurance team, the insurance cover. So talk to us about this saving. Is it possible to make that happen, even while you're, paying your premium for, the life assurance? You can also save, maybe collect some amount of money from it. Like in this case, this development now that the government is trying to do for civil servants.
Yeah. Insurance is something you are intentional and deliberate about. Like in Cornerstone, we have what we call CHEF, Children Education Fund. It's actually targeted towards saving. You save a lump sum, and then after a number of years, say 5 years, that money is paid back to you.
I hope you pay for advance, because you're not selling your company here.
No, well, I will have to tell you what I know and what works.
Okay.
That's what I know.
Okay.
I have to tell you what I know and what works. So the Children Education Fund, once you submit your documents, within 48 hours, I can assure you, you'll get your money in Cornerstone.
You're talking of commerce, you're talking of insurance general. Anyway.
Okay.
Thank you.
If I may add to what he said,
Okay.
I want to take it from the angle of that claim.
Yes.
You see, most of our processes are manually driven. If we can automate our processes, it will reduce these challenges that people have. Let it be that all the insurance companies that are and the underwriters that are being subscribed to by the government should have in their own system automation, in the sense that to say, okay, you have uploaded this document, and within 48 hours you should be able to know where your claims this thing is. So at any point in time, you don't need any personal favor from any. If the processes are automated, we will reduce all these challenges. Just like the way you go to banks, same thing should be for the insurance. Then if you look at what the Pension Act talks about, which you mentioned, Section 4 and Section 5, what I'm suggesting as a proposal is that the government now should make it a deliberate policy to encourage civil servants that in addition to what the law requires you to pay as premium, which is deducted as source, individuals just like you can now decide, instead of saving with Asusu and the rest, they will disappear with your money. You should be able to save in that life assurance policy in terms of savings. And this can only be possible if the insurance companies, now all of them, not only any particular one, they should make it in the policy document that there is room for civil servants to increase the premium. The higher the premium, the higher the beneficiary will eventually get.
Okay, in just 30 seconds, tell us, what are all the benefits of this life assurance?
Well, it provides protection, financial protection, and then it provides that economic stability, and then it acts as morale booster for staffs, that they know that their families will be, dependents will be taken care of if they are not there by their employers. So it's always good that employers have such thing in place.
Okay. Now, which means, but you know, we Nigerians, when you talk about death, a lot of us will tell you it's not our portion, even though at the end of the day, people still die. You know,
it is our portion. You just to wait for the time.
No, it's not our portion.
It is. Everybody's time will come.
When will it happen? It's certain.
I will die. It is time.
That's
why it's an assurance. You are assured
certain.
that it will come.
It will come.
It will happen.
Only when it will happen, we don't know.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Joseph David, Regional Manager, Canaston Insurance PLC, thank you so much for coming on the program. And Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu, a lawyer and a former banker, thank you so much for coming and sharing your perspective with us. And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.